Hey guys, it's your boy Razor. Today we're gonna talk about this character right here. This character, he is, if not the most weakest character ever in MCU history. The MCU Spider-Man, not not the first, not the 2002, not the amazing. No, this guy. This guy eventually is so weak that he cannot defeat eventually Green Goblin. I mean, this guy eventually have the worst eventually excuses eventually. I feel like he's not Spider-Man. This guy eventually had the most useless, and he felt that he is useless eventually as anime characters. I mean, who does like him? I mean, this guy, he couldn't defeat eventually the evil eventually. He cannot even, he can barely defeat some thieves. I mean, this guy he is weak. He cannot even handle a Marvel's Avengers mission. He didn't have he didn't have anything for himself, always being handed to. Even he didn't even create the suit eventually. No, Iron Man, give him the suit. I mean, this is if not the worst ever character ever. Don't you see how pathetic he is eventually? He is weak and dumb eventually. He is so dork. He is a dork. Yeah, he is a dork. I mean, don't you see how Spider-Man, he feels like he is a failure? And he, after Iron Man died, eventually Spider-Man Far From Home, Peter Parker is this guy eventually. He felt so ashamed that it was his fault. He was so pathetic eventually that he was sitting down like that and cry for Iron Man. Iron Man did something you didn't do, and that is sacrifice. You don't even have the responsibility. No, this Spider-Man eventually is weak. He is a failure eventually. Not as Andrew, not as Toby. I mean, Toby is a S tier OP. He can even defeat Venom. But you can't. You cannot defeat Venom. You cannot defeat even Green Goblin. You cannot even defeat eventually a school bully. I mean, how the hell eventually did you handle eventually? And it is you, Peter, eventually the reason eventually people hate you. Yes, in Spider-Man No Way Home eventually. Yeah, of course. After what happened between him and Mysterio eventually, that the drone event discovered eventually that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Wow, eventually he went to Doctor Strange and tried to forget people eventually. He is Spider-Man, but unfortunately Peter Parker with his dumbass numbskull eventually destroys the alternate universe. And now eventually none of these people now remember Spider-Man. Not even his parents. And now Peter Parker now is a lonely man eventually with no eventually friends. Is that because of his dumbness? Eventually he is a dumb. He did this for himself eventually. And that's why eventually he ruined himself. Because first of all he did expose himself as Spider-Man. He did eventually interrupted Doctor Strange eventually for trying to fix everything by making everything worse. And I mean, by damn, eventually he cannot even defeat Green Goblin or Electro or even Sandman. No, Toby and Andrew did everything eventually. They defeated them, but him eventually, no, he didn't do nothing. He let his aunt die because of his dumb ass. Because he was dumb. He left his aunt to die eventually. In the movie, Aunt May died eventually because of his dumb ass skill, because of the Green Goblin. I mean, why did he do this? Why did he do this in the first place? This character eventually is a disappointment to the MCU eventually, and to me, myself eventually, because I was hoping for this character to be himself for once. But no. All I can think about this character eventually that he doesn't have any potential, he is lazy, he is weak, and he doesn't have eventually the physique comparing eventually with Spider-Man 1, eventually 2002. Spider-Man 1 was peak cinema, Spider-Man 2 was peak cinema, Spider-Man 3, a bad excuse eventually, this film is garbage, but The Amazing Spider-Man 1, amazing. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, garbage. The Spider-Man Homecoming is the worst event of both of them eventually. I felt like the only thing that made this movie special eventually is Iron Man eventually. And Peter didn't do nothing. Nothing! He is weak! This guy eventually he is not, if not, the weakest of the weak. He can't defeat an anime character by this skill. This skill eventually have zero skill. Don't you see how slow he is? He is slow. And he cannot swing fast as eventually as Toby or as Andrew. Even his suit, he didn't design his suit. All I can say eventually that his homemade suit was garbage eventually. It's garbage eventually. Nobody like you. Nobody like you. The MCU is destroyed, and the MCU is already dead with the bad shows eventually and the bad movies that they gave us to, including this. The only thing that made me watch No Way Home is Tobey Maguire. Only. This guy is a goat of Spider-Man, the original, the best Spider-Man ever. Not this, not this guy. Sorry. Sorry, if you eventually like the character, I appreciate it. But the problem is, no, I don't like him. He is weak. He is weaker eventually than Captain America eventually. He barely won eventually in the Civil War. I mean, even though, in conclusion, this character eventually, he is so weak and coward. He is a coward, weak, lazy, and just a doo-doo eventually. That guy could be defeated eventually by anyone, eventually from the cartoon world, or even fictional characters, or even WWE superstar himself. He can't even defeat eventually any WWE superstar. I bet that this guy will lose eventually the first time he gets into the ring eventually, and he will fail. This Spider-Man, the MCU is already dead. I don't want to see this guy again.